Welcome to Hong Kong Brief. The content of the briefing includes: Chou accused a powerful man of sexual harassment. Then he sued her. Grand old Burke, a southern koala, dies in British Zoo. Prada is expanding its NYC presence with pair of building purchases. RBC CEO says bank can still reap savings from HSBC Canada deal, despite promising Ottawa it will retain jobs. Evening update: Israel broadens Gaza assault as UN Security Council passes resolution to increase aid. Chou accused a powerful man of sexual harassment. Then he sued her. ABC. Chou, a Taiwanese singer and actor known as Dia, has come forward with allegations of sexual harassment against Blackie Chen, her former boss and host of the variety show Blackie's Teenage Club. Chou alleges that Chen entered her hotel room uninvited and pressured her for sex on a work trip in Hong Kong in 2012. Chen has denied the allegations and sued Chou for defamation, although he and his wife eventually withdrew the civil suit and initiated criminal defamation action. Chen has also temporarily stood aside from his role as CEO of the P.League Plus Professional Basketball League. Chou is the only high-profile woman so far in Taiwan's Me Too movement to have been sued by the person she accused. The case has not deterred others from supporting her, and Taiwanese prosecutors recently announced that they would not pursue charges against her. Chou has expressed her hope that the Me Too movement will continue in Taiwan. Grand old Burke, a southern koala, dies in British Zoo. The Sydney Morning Herald. Burke, one of only 3 southern male koalas living outside Australia, has died at Longleat Safari Park in the UK. Burke, who was born in captivity in Melbourne in 2006 before moving to Japan, arrived at Longleat in 2019 as part of a breeding program. He fathered 2 offspring, the first southern koalas to be born in Europe. Burke was cherished by the people of Japan and will be missed by many in the UK. He also contributed to the zoo's koala conservation work, helping to develop a retrovirus test to protect the wild koala population. Prada is expanding its NYC presence with pair of building purchases. Bloomberg. Prada has acquired 2 buildings on New York's Fifth Avenue for a combined total of around $835 million. The Italian fashion brand bought 724 Fifth Avenue, which houses its New York flagship store, for $425 million. An entity linked to the Prada family acquired 720 Fifth Avenue for approximately $410 million. RBC CEO says bank can still reap savings from HSBC Canada deal, despite promising Ottawa it will retain jobs. The Globe and Mail. Royal Bank of Canada, RBC, has agreed to retain certain jobs at HSBC Bank Canada for up to 2 years, open a global banking hub in Vancouver, maintain a minimum number of HSBC branches and finance affordable housing projects, in order to secure the Canadian government's approval for its $13.5 billion takeover of HSBC's Canadian subsidiary. RBC's CEO, Dave McKay, said that the bank had already been considering similar conditions. The deal is expected to close in Q1 2023 and will add more than 770,000 clients to RBC's base of 17 million customers. RBC estimates that it will save money by trimming 55% of HSBC Canada's costs within 2 years, largely through combining operations and technology functions. RBC expects the deal will boost its earnings per share by 6% in 2024. Evening update: Israel broadens Gaza assault as UN Security Council passes resolution to increase aid. The Globe and Mail. The UN Security Council has approved a resolution to increase humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip, but stopped short of calling for a ceasefire. The resolution received support from all members, apart from Russia and the US, who abstained from voting. The resolution calls for immediate steps to allow expanded humanitarian access and to create conditions for a sustainable cessation of hostilities. Israel, which is not a Security Council member, criticized the resolution for focusing too much on aid for Gaza and not enough on the Israeli hostages held by Hamas. Meanwhile, the Israeli military has ordered residents of al-Bureij, in central Gaza, to move south, indicating a change in the focus of the ground assault on Hamas. Residents have said the order would only put them in harm's way elsewhere. Multiple areas of Gaza have been subjected to shelling and airstrikes. The Palestinian Ministry of Health now says that over 20,000 Palestinians have been killed since Israel attacked in the aftermath of the bloodshed on October 7. HKEX takes stock of its first female leader. SCMP opinion. Hong Kong Exchanges and Clearing, HKEX, has appointed Bonnie Chan Yiding as its first female CEO. Chan, who will take over in May 2023, will also be the first internal promotion to lead Asia's third-largest stock market. Last year, HKEX imposed a gender diversity rule requiring an end to all male boards among publicly traded companies by the end of 2024. Chan's appointment comes at a challenging time for HKEX as IPO activities, total market capitalization, and stock market transactions have all dwindled. She will need to balance the ease of IPOs with investor protection. Hong Kong can ride waves to once again become top maritime center. SCMP opinion. Hong Kong plans to strengthen its status as an international maritime center by developing as a green shipping hub with zero carbon emissions and enhancing its seafaring influence through cooperation with the Greater Bay Area and international partners. The city's Transport and Logistics Bureau announced a plan that includes 10 strategies and 32 actions to boost Hong Kong's maritime industry, which currently contributes about 4.1% of the city's GDP and employs 78,400 people. Despite facing competition from regional counterparts, Hong Kong aims to leverage its geographical location, institutional advantages, and experience in international business and trade to remain a leading shipping hub. 2 men run off with new Banksy installation in London. South China Morning Post. Street artist Banksy unveiled his latest artwork, only for it to be stolen just hours later. The installation featured a traffic stop sign covered with 3 aircraft resembling military drones. One passerby filmed 2 men removing the artwork, with one running off with the sign under his arm. Banksy was not behind the removal, and the Metropolitan Police have not received any reports about the incident. Commissioner rejects Conservatives' appeal for full standing at foreign interference inquiry. The Globe and Mail. Canada's public inquiry into foreign interference by China and other states will begin hearings on January 29, but the Conservative Party has been denied full standing during the fact-finding phase of the probe. The party has been offered intervenor standing, which allows them to present evidence but not to cross-examine witnesses or access evidence presented outside the hearings. The Conservative Party and the NDP have, however, been granted full standing during the policy phase of the inquiry, when the probe looks for reforms to counter foreign interference. Who is Fat Leonard, fugitive behind $50 million military corruption case? The Independent. Leonard Glenn Francis, known as Fat Leonard, has been arrested in Miami after fleeing to Venezuela to avoid sentencing in the U.S. Francis was the owner of Singapore-based Glenn Defense Marine Asia, a company that had $250 million in U.S. defense contracts. He bribed Navy officers with prostitutes and entertainment, resulting in the defrauding of around $50 million of U.S. taxpayers' money. After his arrest in 2013, Francis pleaded guilty to fraud, bribery, and conspiracy and agreed to cooperate with prosecutors. He was released to home detention but fled to Venezuela in 2022, where he was arrested and recently returned to the U.S. German property prices plummet as housing bubble bursts. Yahoo! House prices in Germany have fallen 10.2% in the third quarter, the biggest decline since records began in 2000, according to the country's statistics office. The drop represents the fourth consecutive quarter of year-on-year declines and comes amid the largest property crisis in the nation in decades. The decline also comes as the country faces the worst economic performance within the G7 since the start of the pandemic, with growth of just 0.3% recorded. In addition, the UK and France were the two worst performing economies in the G7 in the third quarter. China's yuan rises to fourth most used currency in global settlements. Nikkei Asia. China's currency, the yuan, was used more than Japan's for international payments in November, capturing the fourth largest share, according to data from SWIFT. The use of the yuan for oil and other transactions with Russia is increasing due to Western sanctions against Russia. The yuan's share among all currencies was 4.61%, the highest since 2015, and China has been pushing for payments in currencies other than the dollar in trade with Russia, the Middle East, and South America. However, the yuan's presence as an international currency is still relatively small, with Hong Kong accounting for about 80% of yuan payments outside of mainland China. How Chinese workers in Nigeria cause controversy. Deutsche Welle. The Nigerian Senate Committee on Interior Chairman Adams Oshiomhole and other Nigerian officials recently claimed that Chinese companies are importing prisoners from China to work in Nigeria. The allegations have caused concern among Nigerians, especially unemployed graduates, who believe that the presence of Chinese prisoners is taking away jobs from locals. However, there is no proof of this practice, and legal experts have stated that it would be illegal under Nigerian labor law and international labor law. The claims may have arisen due to the strong presence of Chinese companies in Nigeria and a perceived lack of transparency in Sino-Africa cooperation. The issue has also been raised in other African countries where Chinese dominance has been politically contentious. The allegations of Chinese prisoners working in Nigeria surfaced in 2019, a year in which the number of Chinese workers in Nigeria peaked at 12,199. Chinese companies have a reputation for outbidding local and international competitors in their contracts. The companies aim for 5% to 10% profit, compared to Western companies that expect a minimum of 30% profit. China to cut back access to court rulings, sparking transparency concerns. South China Morning Post. China is becoming more selective in sharing court judgments on its public database, raising concerns about a potential decrease in transparency in the country's judicial system. The move comes as China sets up two new archives for court rulings, one of which will only be accessible to court staff and police. The internal court judgment database has sparked fears that courts will stop uploading their decisions to the public database China Judgments Online, which was created to promote transparency in the judiciary. China's Supreme People's Court has stated that the public database will continue to function. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.